Hey, if you're thinking about buying, but you're not sure whether buying a house now in today's market's a great idea, if you're better off watching and waiting to buy in tomorrow's market, well, this video is for you because we are going to share our top reasons why you should buy now and our top reasons why you should just sit this one out and wait. Hey, I'm Justin Barry at the Plains Paris Real Estate Team right here in Kansas City. If this is your first time to our channel and you literally want to know everything there is to know about the Kansas City housing market, the best ways to win in the current market, just go ahead, hit that button and ring that bell. That way you're notified every time we release one of these new videos. Honestly, we get calls every day from people wanting to buy or sell a home in Kansas City, and they need the right information to make the best decisions. That's what we do. We're here, so if you are thinking about buying or selling in the Kansas City region, just go ahead, give us a call, text, or email, whatever you're comfortable with, because when it comes to moving to Kansas City, we want you to know we've got your back. So how's the market? Well, it's no surprise I'm asked all the time, how is the market? Not to be a politician and dodge the question, but honestly, it really depends on what you're wanting to do. The market changes every day, and there's always winners, and there's always going to be losers in every market. So the headlines don't always tell the whole story, and that's actually a great advantage for us. Like they say in the stock market, if your taxi driver starts talking about a stock, it's time to sell. Real estate's really no different. If you're not in the know, by the time you hear about it, it's just too late. So when I say it depends, I mean, it depends on if you're looking to buy your first home, are you looking to sell your rental portfolio, are you wanting to upsize or maybe downsize, are you willing to be patient and stick to a plan? Well, the market is just the rules of the game, and how we play the game is really where the results come from. So for instance, in the spring of 2022, when it was common to hear about 50 offers on a single home, it seemed like a great idea to be a seller, tough time to be a buyer. But being a seller could actually be risky, especially if you needed to buy another home. One of the primary reasons the market kind of ran away was because sellers were afraid of entering the market because it was too fast and they didn't have solutions. They couldn't figure out how they'd find a home in time, and if they were forced to buy a home they did not love, or worse, they end up homeless, right? So sellers are usually trading in the same market, meaning most sellers are also buyers. Buyers saw the historic low interest rates and thought, hey, it's a great time to buy a home. Unfortunately, in a recent study, 72% of buyers have regrets about the purchase of a home in 2021 and 2022. 1/3 said they spent too much money, and 1/3 said they felt rushed to make a decision. Of those dissatisfied, about 1/3 paid on average $65,000 over asking price, and another third bought their house sight unseen. So the average savings in interest rates in Kansas City was only about $30,000 over 5 years if interest rates saved you around $500 a month. The cost to do a do-over if you change your mind and have to resell a home if you made the wrong decision is also around $30,000. So in our market, you're going to see like a $350,000 average house, which is $21,000 in commission, $1,000 in title cost to sell. Then you can expect at least another $5,000 more in closing cost on your purchase, plus the cost of moving, etc., just to buy. So the average person really needed to be committed to their new home for at least 5 years for the interest rate savings in 2021 and 2022 to even be worth moving. And the numbers are showing that there is a lot of remorse among those buyers that felt rushed. So when you factor in so many homes selling for $65,000 over asking price, taking sight unseen without inspections, and paying out-of-pocket cash for the difference between the appraised value and the contract price, the interest savings alone really weren't all that exciting, especially if you settled on a dream home like the majority did. So where are we now? Well, so now that we understand that your position in the market is actually more important than the market itself, let's talk about the difference between the last market and the current market. Interest rates are up a lot. Now, this has not been a secret, and of course the Fed announced this very early in the year, so we've been watching this with all the projections and all the estimations that we've watched all year and brought to you guys. All that's been factored into those projections. The market has not crashed. There are winners and there are losers in this market as well. Of course, like every market, the news only covers the losers. But all that's happened is we went from 100 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour, meaning like houses don't take 4 hours to sell, they take 14 days. And I know 4 hours to 14 days seems like a big deal, but keep in mind, I've been in this industry for about 20 years. For about 19 of those 20 years, if an agent sold a house in 14 days, it was brag-worthy. So, like we've been saying all year, the market has not crashed. There has been a small reset in pricing, but home values overall have remained stable. We've just went from 100 miles an hour to 55. The news headlines say 45-mile-an-hour loss, knowing that 100 miles an hour was not even safe. So trust me, there are opportunities in 55-mile-an-hour markets that were not there at all at 100 miles an hour. So let's start with who should buy a house now? Well, buyers who know homeownership is in their future and they understand that rates are not forever. Rates are only going to do one of two things. They're going to go up or they're going to go down. If they go up, be glad you locked in your rate. If they go down, you just refi. Rates are expected to come back down in 2024. 3% rates are not on the horizon, but most experts predict 5% to be a realistic and healthy target. Currently, rates are around 6.25% to 6.5%, which is about $275 more a month than if they were at 5%, which is still a lot better than $65,000 over asking price and out of pocket. My advice is making sure you're buying a house for the long term and you're looking at rates in the short term. Make long-term decisions for long-term problems and short-term decisions for short-term problems. We tell our clients, just date the rate and marry the house. Date the rate, marry the house. Where are the wins happening? Well, first-time home buyers, this is your opportunity to make your move, especially if you could not win in the last market. The cash investors, they've largely disappeared as higher interest rates reduce their cash flow. Zillow, Opendoor, and these other iBuyer models, they're failing or they've already failed, and most buyers are only getting their information from headlines. So if you can afford the mortgage, go ahead, take your time, but find the right house. We're having a lot of success right now also with low down payment financing like FHA, USDA, VA buyers, people with first time home buyer grants. They couldn't even compete in the last market, and right now we're winning and sellers are excited to work with them. The second group I'd want to talk about would be sweat equity buyers. So if you're handy and you're willing to make a house your home, now is a great time to find a diamond in the rough. The last market had a frenzy of buyers and it rewarded sellers who did not get their property market ready. Most real estate agents, they've only been in the business, 2 to 3 years, and being a listing agent meant just putting a sign in the yard and selecting the best offer out of 50. Now those same agents are representing sellers without the skill sets to help their sellers position themselves in the market, and that's a great opportunity for a buyer who's willing to negotiate. So the new market is punishing those sellers as buyers are becoming pickier. So my advice is look for homes that have been on the market longer than 30 days and then be willing to make offers. The next group I would talk about would be cash investors. So a lot of people, they've sold their properties in the last market and they're now sitting on money that they do not know what to do with. Inflation is at a 40-year high and real estate historically has been the safest hedge against inflation. Rents are still at an all-time high and they're not expected to subside as more buyers feel they can't purchase a home, they then become more renters. It may be a good idea to keep your money in the property and earn a lot of cash flow until rates come back down. Let's talk about dream home buyers. If you are waiting to time the market and finally buy your dream home, right now is actually a great time to buy. Our team specializes in finding dream homes using letters we send directly to sellers. There are many sellers who feel they missed the market due to their inaction, and our letters are getting great results for buyers that are looking for specific types of property, specific area, specific neighborhood, a specific type of house. And they're moving into this new home, but they're trading in the same market, which means that they're applying equity to the next purchase. This means interest rates do not have near the impact they are going to have because they're borrowing less. Again, it's more important to get the right house than the right rate because rates will change. Date the rate, marry the house. So who should not buy a house now? Because there's definitely a group of people out there that should not. And it's those who cannot afford a mortgage payment. I would never want anyone to take on a payment that would hurt their financial future. If it's too risky, just set this one out. If you're not planning to stay in your home also for at least a few years, just keep renting. The market is not expected to appreciate at near the levels it had in the past couple years. And in a market going from 100 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour, we're going to see appreciation, fall from that 8 to 15 range to about 2 to 5% a year. This means we're going back to normal, where it will take 2 to 3 years on average to gain enough equity just to cover the cost of selling if you should make a change. Homes are long-term solutions to long-term problems. Renting is a short-term solution to a short-term problem. So if you've got a short-term problem, stick with renting. There's a lot of buyers right now that they really feel priced out of their dream house, and I would tell them to consider, if they're considering renting versus buying, that is, consider that one way or another they're building equity. It's either their equity or they're building the equity of their landlord. A great solution for them is just to go ahead, find a good deal on a property they plan to live in for just 2 or 3 years, then convert that property into a rental. This may not be your dream home, but if you're considering paying rent to ride out the market anyway, owning is still cheaper than renting typically, and converting your residence into a rental later is one of the smartest ways to invest in real estate. I wished I would have done it that way my first time, and my kids know to look both ways when they cross the street, and they also know that their first house is going to be a duplex or a fourplex. I'd like to give you guys some perspective and wrap this up. So everything is always relative, and we're not going to be going back to a 3% interest rate market. Those days are gone. Interest rates, they were just one piece of a much more complicated market. And it's easy to look back and remember only the good, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. It's a lot like antiques. People, they believe that older homes, that older stuff was just built better back then, but the truth is the good stuff's the only stuff that survived. A lot of junk got thrown away. I'm willing to bet that if we could go back in time to the 3% market and offer those frustrated buyers the same opportunity we have now, trade their $65,000 out of pocket on a sight unseen home they weren't in love with for our $200 to $300 more a month payment for a house we're absolutely crazy about, they would trade us in a heartbeat. So if you're thinking about making a move in Kansas City, reach out to us immediately. Great houses, honestly, they sell themselves, and we're just here to get you facts so that you can make great decisions. That's what we do every day. Give us a call, text, email. Let's have a quick chat and see how we can help. Just know that when it comes to moving in Kansas City, we've got your back.